was nice to have a little time to reflect about it. I feel like it's been just over a month maybe since I had my last session. And yeah, I actually wrote out yesterday. I should send it to you guys. I wrote out like my own newsletter. I think I'm going to turn it into a blog because I do feel quite passionate about this topic. Actually, as I was writing about how I just feel like there's this moment where when the thing, whatever you've been trying for, whatever issue, quote unquote, or whatever you're going through, it's not working. And you like have this moment of clarity and kind of an aha moment where you're like, I can't continue like this. And it was cool, Hannah, that you were back, and it was kind of a slow season when I had my aha moment and I was like, I don't really know. I've been like working on this for, 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever, like at varying levels of like really like, okay, I need to figure this out. But yeah, I remember that dinner that we had, and I was kind of explaining what was happening with me, and also just reflecting like this pops up so often because I think for me, like the physical stuff would pop up and then it would go away and I'd kind of forget about it. And then when it would pop up, though, it was like debilitating enough that like I can't surf or travel becomes really tough. And this is my job. So like I think I had like compartmentalized it enough. So it was cool. We had that ability to have like a one-on-one talk, and you weren't pushy at all. You were just kind of like, this might work for you. And I was like, yeah, I should try. And honestly, I think it was also the yoga classes that I went to of yours that I was like, I feel something a little different here. This is different than any yoga class I've gone to. And people are, all the various like chiropractors and whomever else I've worked with over the years have been like, you should do yoga. Because it looks like what you have is like muscle tension. It doesn't look like there's anything structurally wrong. But also, simple stretching wasn't helping either. In fact, sometimes it would make it worse. So I was like, I'd had it. I had, by the
Mm-hmm.
time that we had, I think, that convo in your house, I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like I've always felt like there's something like weirdly wrong with me, and I couldn't figure it out, and that's really tricky. So the aha moment, the moment where you're like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this for another day. And then a solution presented itself. And what I was writing about yesterday with too is like, even when the solution presents itself, sometimes I think people are still like, I don't know. Like maybe not. Like it's not the right time. And that was what I was saying to myself. I was like, I'm about to go into a really crazy busy season, like one of the busiest on records for me. This isn't a good time for me to do this. Like I should actually allow
Mm-hmm.
myself more space. And on the one hand, yes, I think it might have been good for me to have a little bit more space. That being said, I also feel like when you have that generative moment where you're like, I need to do this, then you just like what I learned in my coaching training is like encourage people to like not wait another day because we are very expert at putting things off forever and ever and ever, right? And just kicking the can down the road and like never doing it. So I think the right time to do it is when you have that moment where you're like, no, like I'm not doing this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, knowing that too was really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wrote about the importance of being coached as a coach, which I can circle back to in a second. But yeah, I think that it was a busy time, but I did it anyways. I'm proud of myself for doing that. And it was so helpful in the end, it was so helpful. Because at the same time, like you wait for the chillest moment of your life, like the things that pop up that you need help with in the first place aren't going to be popping up because you're chill. And so that's definitely
Mm-hmm.
how that works for me. To have done it during a busy season was good because those are the moments where I get myself into trouble because I take too much on and maybe say yes to everything or what have you. And so, yeah, I think it was really good for me to have done it in a busy season and gave me the tools, really, really like opened my mind and body to a new way of looking at stress, tension. I don't know. I just roll it into a ball called like the issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me and how they do manifest in my life,
Mm-hmm.
my body, and my mind. So yeah, that was a really long-winded answer saying it was awesome. Just get me going on a microphone, you guys. Like, can't stop me.
Great intro.
Yeah. I think though, yeah. I think for me too, just to like touch on the being coached as a coach, that was another thing that we had talked about, Hannah. I was like, I'm in this industry as well, and I do not purport to be any kind of expert on just about anything, but I am gaining more knowledge and wisdom through my life, through like learning by experience. So I think that it's super important as coaches, people in the wellness industry, to be constantly doing this work ourselves because we have the aha moments that then can help other people, right? We can help explain what that looks like, what that feels like, um, you know, and understanding different modalities, I think is critical as we help people in their health. Suggesting a new tool, one that you've tried or one that, you've seen have, people around you have great success with. I think it's super important to do that too. So that was another cool thing for me to really open my mind to what, is like a little bit of a buzzword. And I don't think you two are like definitely like you're doing your own thing. But certainly like somatic work right now is kind of like everyone's talking about it. And so for me, yeah, to have like a real authentic experience with that
Mm-hmm.
was really really important for my work as well as for my
Mm-hmm.
life.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
You say like, oh yeah, as a coach, it's so important to be coached, right? I totally agree, right? Like we're in the same position. Like it's so good for us to understand as a coach to understand deep stuff because that like reflects back on you and like blah 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 all the stuff and things you said, right? So lead by example. That's basically it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's like the motto you live by. It. That's what the motto we live by too. How are you now leading different by example after this
Mm-hmm.
package,
That's a good
after the
question.
process you went through?
Well, I think on the one hand, to show like I'm going to be sharing it a lot, just like I did my last coaching session, which was much more like sort of talk therapy, talk coaching, which is kind of more of the style of coaching that I do as well. And I think that's a good first step for people often, is to like kind of make sense of things. And I do believe that as a coach, being able to be like, hey, I am also getting coached. I'm not above any of this, I'm also learning. I also put myself in this vulnerable seat with their frequency because that's the only way that I also get to be, healthy and well enough to do the kind of work that it takes to be on the other side of the table, right? So I think being able to share that with people, because I think, and I'm actually weirdly this week I started working with two new people myself, and so sharing that experience of like, yeah, I also get coached. They were like, oh, because I think a lot of people by the time they sit down for coaching are in the like, I need some serious help. And that can be a lonely place, like everyone else is thriving and I am not. And, I think that being able to share that openly with folks is really, really meaningful for a lot of people, especially if it's their first time being coached, like to be like, oh, she is also coached. I see her potentially as being further down this path than I am. And then maybe that's part of it, maybe that is part of it. Maybe that's the answer. So certainly that's one way. But then also, yeah, just like taking responsibility and ownership for my own health. And that was another part of what I wrote about yesterday. It's so easy to avoid this work. And I've done that, for decades where I was like, I will never get therapy. I will never get coached. Like, it was a really like weird thing. I don't know where that came from, but it was kind of like, I think it actually came from people over, my parents, for example, like the way they spoke about it was just, it gave me and this is what, we get passed down to us. It's the people around us when we're kids or whatever, like being like either, oh, this is lame. I would absolutely not do that. That's my dad. And my mom being like, oh, you're going to need so much therapy when you're older. And me being like, no, I won't. Like, I'll fix this myself, kind of thing. So I think, yeah, coming to a place where I'm like, yeah, even though I'm pretty good, all things considered, I feel like pretty balanced. I do believe still there's always work to be done. And I've witnessed the folks who do the best jobs of avoiding actually doing this kind of work are the ones that seem to be stuck in these cycles of, whatever, not progressing forward, and then like doing whatever else it takes to numb that stuff, whether it's drinking's a big one, all the addictions, I think, manifest when you have this pain or whatever tension that you can't get rid of and you have no idea how to even start. And so it makes total sense to me, right? And not every addiction is necessarily like, oh, some people are addicted to surfing, which cool. But I think any addiction like that is running from something. And yeah, there's just another way where you can have all of those things in your life, but you're not needing them just because they make you forget or, you know, distract you from whatever might be going on under the surface. So yeah, I have so many people in my life right now, family members and people that I'm close to, like childhood friends that like God, I really wish you would give this a try. I wish you'd give this a try because I see that you're suffering. And you try to talk to these people sometimes. Like I don't try to push it too much anymore because everyone's on their own path. But like leading by example, being like, I've done it. I'm doing it. I think that's honestly the best way because to just go into someone's, space and be like, you need this, you should be doing this. People usually put up a wall, right? So that's the best way I know how to lead is actually just doing it by example. So yeah, these periodic coaching programs that I'm doing, learning different modalities, going to classes, doing the work, all of it, and then sharing that in a way that's not like, I don't like to like do therapy porn or anything, but like sharing it authentically and letting people know that this is normal, these questions of mental health, emotional health, physical health, like in the old days, they were way more taboo. And I feel like they're starting to become a bit more, and it's by people sharing their own story. So I like to be able to do that too.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have a question, buddy?
Hmm?
Do you have a question?
Oh, I was looking at you like you are gonna get.
No, like we're looking at you, you're looking at me. I do have a question. So I have known you for a few years now, and you're obviously a very self-aware person. You're in this industry, you guide people, you just got married. You've lived in Costa Rica for years, right? You have this like close community around you. And zooming into RYME a little bit, I'm curious in the last 10 weeks, or I guess over the 10 weeks that you worked with us the last months, was there anything specific that people close to you noticed that shifted or that you noticed? Like if you could speak to like one or two moments that you were kind of like, oh, that's different, or that Spencer noticed, right? Or Nefta, your dog. No.
Let's get him mic'd up. Yeah, definitely. Like we were kind of talking about this the other evening. I have for sure in the last 20 years had some kind of flaring episode in my usually neck and shoulders that leads me to have to take painkillers, miss work, and like period pain, like a lot in what I didn't understand. So the biggest realization I think physically that I had through this was that while I thought the tension was here, it was actually like originating in my hips and my low diaphragm area. And so some of the exercises were from you, some of them were from my physiotherapist. And I put together this little routine that was tailored to me. And it took me a little while to figure it out, but I got there, and it has a lot of like the shaking and the circular movements and, things that I kind of realized often in your yoga classes, in the sessions as well. You do enough yoga with you or sessions with you, Hannah, and you realize that it's some of the patterns of like how we're moving and how that's different to like what you might be normally doing, but just like holding yourself super steady. And that was counterintuitive to me. So yeah, I would like have pretty painful periods, not like the worst in the world, but 1 or 2 days where it was like really super bad. Since I've been doing this routine, which has been since December, I have not had period pain. Actually, it's the first day of my period right now, and I don't feel super 100%, but I'm also not like bedridden, which is what would have been formerly the case. So again, my painkiller usage has gone from, and I've tracked it to like, I don't even want to tell you how many, to maybe I take 1 or 2 ibuprofen a month. And that is huge. So for someone who like, I try to do things more naturally. At the same time, I do believe in Western medicine, and it has its place. And also, like, I, like many other people, depended super heavily on and didn't find an alternative because I didn't know one existed. I did not believe one existed for me. So that's really cool, because painkillers, well, again, they have their place, and I'm glad for their existence. I really am. Also, like, they do have other ramifications on your body, your stomach lining, your intestinal lining, etc. And I just don't want to depend on them anymore, So again, like this idea of, I think in our society, we deal a lot with the symptoms of a problem. And so this felt more like we were getting to the root of the problem, physically speaking. And then, with Luz, it was definitely like, even further than the root of the physical problem was the root of the problem altogether, which actually for me, this was a huge aha moment, of course. It's like, okay, actually a lot of this is emotional. I'm super sensitive. You guys know this. I'm so sensitive to stuff. So something may happen, a disagreement with a family member, reading the news, even sometimes for me, like a work, like, something you get your hopes up about and then it doesn't go through. Like I have a physical reaction to that, but I wasn't putting it all together because it might be delayed by a couple of days. So when I would work with Luz and actually, like, in a controlled environment, bring up a thing, go to a place that maybe I had been ignoring or I had forgotten about, but it's, still deep somewhere in the subconscious. And then I would see, like, oh my gosh, like after that, I would feel incredibly exhausted. And then even sometimes the pain would come up. And so I was like, oh, wow, this is like me in a controlled environment, like doing it and seeing how it works. And it was exactly that. And so the ability to have this theory, in my understanding from our work together, from other readings I had done, that, for some people, like, they're super physically sensitive and they do, they have some kind of emotional reaction to something, and their brains are like, oh, but it's okay. Like, oh, I had this, disagreement with this person, but I'm totally able to, in my brain, rationalize it. Like, it's okay though. They did this because they said this because of that. Let's, whatever. I never get resolution, but I understand it. Like, my brain's like, oh yeah, I get it. And then my body though is like, what? Like, no, I don't get it. I'm not past this. Like, I'm still feeling it. And, and that was really interesting. So this, like, I think what the two of you do really well is linking together the emotional, or whatever, let's call it non-physical elements. Cause I think it's emotional. It's also mental, whatever, maybe even soulful right? But then there's the physical body. And as much as I have been involved with yoga, for my whole life. My mom's a yoga teacher. It still never really clicked. Like I understood it theoretically, but I didn't understand it in my body. So that was again like a huge takeaway for me. So like now when something happens, I'm being a little bit more proactive, like, okay, I'm going to rest. I'm going to process this, whether that's writing or even chatting, with someone about
Mhm.
it. But then also like doing some physical work, walking, but not just walking to walk, like not just walking the
Right.
dog, but like walking with the intention of processing this.
Mhm.
And then my little routine, I know now because I have like the maintenance routine and then I have the deep routine, right? So I know now when to do the deep physical routine. And it's in those moments and I can feel it. So it's really like this awareness of how I can almost see it transitioning from the non-physical, whatever, emotional, mental, etc., over to the physical. And yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting to imagine how it's working, in a cellular way, but yeah, takes a couple of days, right? And that's why I was like, I'm over this. Like in the old days, I was like, I'm
Mhm.
over this. I don't know. Like I just couldn't make that connection. So yeah,
Mhm.
that has been, truly, truly groundbreaking. And again, like I think for me to go forward in my work, like understanding too as a health coach, like because that's like I see myself as a general health coach, like as someone who will be recommending various modalities out to people. And I can see this being a big one that I recommend out because not necessarily everyone has the same reaction as I do. And I think some people's emotional stuff might manifest different. It might turn into like a sleep issue, like, oh, they can't fall asleep at night and they don't know why. It's not always like everyone gets physical pain like I do, but I think I'll be able to ascertain that, this could be something that's turning into a different, like it's bounced around now, and so hey, you could use perhaps some somatic awareness, or under the hood work,
Yeah.
so that's always
Good.
a really great thing to be able to recommend to other people as well. But yeah, definitely like I think people around me, I don't know, like I'm in an era currently where I'm thriving and I do want to attribute some of that to this work because I think that yet again I feel like I've leveled up, you know. How could you
Yay.
not level up if you're, not, for example, being just quite simply, bedridden for 2 days a month because you are in pain? Like there's 2 more days you got back in your month. Or, the normal aches and pains that probably make me less productive, right? Or make me a little bit bitchier with the people around me. So there's just like holistically this, you can see how it's affecting all the various verticals of your life.
Yay. Mic drop.
Yes, I feel very
Oh,
passionate about this topic, as you can see.
I
Mm,
know. I'm bummed because I have a client at 10:30, so I have to hop off in
no
a second.
worries. Yeah, I
But
want
I
to
could
thank both
listen
of
to
you,
you talk
though.
about this all day.
Me too.
I
I'm like,
know.
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
could
I'm
talk
like,
about it
yeah.
all day. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out my little blog and I'll send it to you guys. It's mostly written because it was the basis of the newsletter, and you can use it further if you need. But yeah, I want to
Thank
thank the
you.
two of you. I think you're doing great work, and I'll
Oh,
work with you again in the future. I'm going to come do a retreat, not this year, but I will do it. I would love to do
Yay.
it. I think it'll be really great. But yeah, I think you guys are just on to something, and love to see you and love to support you as you go
Thank you for
forward.
that.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was
Thank you so much.
really nice working with you. Yeah, it was like you're just
Aw,
like,
I wish we can like continue right now.
I know.
Just because I like to hang out with you. But no, I'm very proud of you and I'm proud of the work that you did. And like
Thanks.
I'm looking forward to seeing you doing more of you and like just expanding who you already are. That's just exciting to see
Yeah.
and good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate both of you. And yeah, don't, hesitate to tap me if you need anything else. I'm happy to help, happy to share.
I'll be
Yay.
seeing you.
I'll be seeing
And
you.
plot twist, Lisa's coming here in January. to Costa
Yay!
Rica
That's
with her
awesome.
husband.
It's
So we're
a
going to
few
get to hang
months
out.
away.
Yeah.
It's a few months away. But yeah,
Well,
I'm excited.
I'm gonna be in Biarritz. Are you close to Biarritz where you live?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like 45 minutes away from me.
Well, I'm gonna be there on the 8th of June, so that's pretty close.
Oh my
I'll write you
God, you guys
soon.
get to hang out. I
wow.
want to
Maybe
come.
we can hang out if you're free. Yeah, we're there for only just 3 days. It's kind of like a little mini honeymoon, but we're gonna be surfing, body surfing, eating, going to the beach. That's the plan.
Nice.
So if it were to work out, that'd be cool. Maybe we could meet up for a meal or
Yeah,
something.
text me and let's see if we can.
I want to
Sounds
come now.
good.
Well, you're kind of in a lucky situation, dude. Like you're right there. So
Yeah, I get to see her all the time.
I don't want to hear anything about you.
Okay,
One bit.
sorry. All right, thank you. Love you
All right.
guys.
Yes.
Thank you so
Talk
much.
soon.
Ciao. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.